The first thing I want to start with is Dinei Kippur B'gadim on Shabbos, folding clothes on Shabbos. Um,
Yeah, the dry cleaning man here.
Has to do with this with Pasha Bata and Tzaveh, talking about the beginning.
yeah, that's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
they're calling Gadol, yeah.
Yeah. So it starts with the Mishnah. Now, very interesting. The Mishnah says what you're allowed to do, and then on Shabbos, and the Gemara comes and tells you what you're not allowed to do. So the Mishnah says that you're allowed to fold clothes even 4 or 5 times. You're allowed to fold clothes even 4 or 5 times.
What do you mean 4 or 5 times? 4 different folding?
Yeah. So the Gemara goes on and says, this doesn't mention you're allowed. Really, it's not so simple. Really, there's a problem with folding clothes in Shabbos. I'll explain in a minute why. Right. It goes on to say that it's only the Chacham only allowed it the covered Shabbos if you need it for Shabbos, and it goes on to list 4 requirements in order to be allowed to fold clothing. What's the issue with folding clothing on Shabbos? So in the Rishonim, there's 2 explanations given.
Not born?
No. So Rashi says that it's nidik misakin. Kli. It looks like you're fixing a keli. Now, if you were really fixing a keli for real, to really fix something that's broken, is actually a malacha d'oraisa of makav hatish. Usually, it would be included makav hatish if you're fixing a keli. Over here, Rashi says it looks like you're fixing a keli. It's nidik misakin kli. And therefore, it would be asur midirabanan. So we're dealing with the isur midirabanan to fold clothing because it looks like you're fixing a kli. What does it mean it looks like you're fixing a kli? What does it mean it looks like you're fixing the clothing? So in Rashi, the explanation given, and based on this is really the way it seems to be throughout the Rishonim and Paiskim in general, is that when they would, at least in those days, when they would fold the clothing, somehow it would take out all the creases in the clothing. If you fold it properly, compact, and you press it down, all the creases in the rest of the clothes will go away. Sorry? So that's what...
Are this is true?
Yeah, 100%.
As a dry cleaning, so
when you fold the clothing, it takes out the creases. Okay, interesting. We'll see something soon very interesting from the Kolabite. But this is the simple understanding. The Ravid on the Rambam, when the Rambam brings this halacha, he brings this together with a few other things in one category. And one of the places where the Rambam discusses different things that are nidik mesakin maneh, looks like you're fixing a maneh, a kli. So over there, the Ravid says that the reason why Chacham answered it was because you're being tereach for chayil. You're being tereach for the week.
You're not going to need this clothes for
Shabbos. Yeah, you don't need the clothes for Shabbos. So it's a tereach for okay. But in general, in most places, in Shulchan Aruch, later on, the basic reason given is because of what Rashi says, because it's nidik and sakiman. It looks like you're fixing the kli, not just tereach for chayil. Like we'll see that even if you're doing it for Shabbos, if you don't have certain requirements, it's going to be asur even for Shabbos. Now, I just want to point out already now that although the pashta explanation in the Rishonim is that by folding it, you're making the creases come out, it seems like in some of the later poskim that they also understand, and soon we'll see what's the main raya, that it's not just that when you fold it, you're releasing all the creases from the baguette, it's also that the folds itself sometimes are part of what makes it look nice. It looks nice when you see the neat creases, and therefore later poskim point out that we'll discuss certain cases. The folding it and the folding, the actual crease that you're making by folding it, or the creases that you're holding in place by folding it, that itself is the tikkun, the creases themselves. So now the Gemara says, so what they said, the Gemara says it's also, and the Mishnah says that let's say of Shabbos it's mutter. And the Gemara goes on to say 4 requirements. Number 1, it has to be, it could only be done by 1 person, not by 2 people. Number 2, it could only be done with new clothing, not with old clothing. And number 3, it could only be done with white clothing. And number 4, only if you don't have another baguette to use.
Only white?
Yeah, only white. Okay. So what's the reason? What's the reason for all these requirements? So the last requirement that you don't have another one is obvious because the some only matter
It's all Shabbos.
instead of Shabbos. If you have another clothing, you can use another clothing. Now, in some of the Shem they discuss what happens if the other clothing you'll have
Not
is
Shabbos.
not as nice.
Not
Shabbos
Shabbos.
is not as nice. So yeah, so the Paisim say if what you have is not Shabbos, it's like regular chol. So then that's obvious that
Next Shabbos you need.
you need to Shabbos the clothing. You can't use your weekly clothing. You have another nice piece of clothing, but it's not as nice as the first one. So maybe the Shabbos we should allow you to fix your nicest piece of clothing. So that's a discussion in the Shin. But one thing is halach l'mais is clear that if the only thing you would have were to have was weekday clothing, then
You're allowed.
then for sure it'd be allowed. Now, what do we mean by what's considered new? So already Shechlena brings already that the Paisim say that new means that it wasn't washed yet. Once it's washed, it's already not new anymore. Now, what's the reason for this? So Parshas and Rashi it says.
Like in the 9 days, you're not allowed to wear no clothes.
No, so what he says is because new clothing are harder, they're more tough, and therefore they don't get as creased. So by folding it up, you're not really fixing it so much because there's no real issue.
The crease is
It's
too
yeah.
bad.
The crease is very weak
Right.
on new clothing, so it's not such a big deal to get rid of this. You're not really fixing it so much. Mashenki clothing, once they're washed, they're soft, so they have a lot more creases, and therefore it's going to be a bigger tikkun to fold old clothing. That's why there wouldn't be a hatter. This hatter to do it on Shabbos wouldn't apply to old clothing. So only new clothing, only white clothing. Why only white clothing? So Rashi says that colored clothing it's very interesting. We see in the Shem two opposite explanations. Rashi says because colored clothing need more of a tikkun than white clothing. I don't understand why. That's what Rashi said. Maybe some explain that because colored clothing could lose its color, and by folding it, it makes it keep its color. Not sure what that means, but that's what it says in some of the Shem. Rashi says because colored clothing need more of a tikkun.
We have experience, so he can tell you.
The white, you don't see the creases so much.
So you're saying it's because of the creases, and you don't see the
You
creases.
don't see the creases so much.
Interesting. See Rashi's saying the colored clothing you see the creases more. Oh, okay, interesting. Because I saw some bring from other Mefarshim this idea that
You wash your shirt in the house, or you give it to.
I wash it out.
So take a white shirt from the washer or the dryer, and take a
Colored.
color shirt, and you see the different right away.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess that's pshat. So he says that so color clothing need more of a tikkun. So therefore, since the bigger tikkun, they weren't matter. They only matter for white clothing, which need lots of a tikkun. The Rambam says punkt verkehrt. The Rambam says, I think he says that white clothing get very messy.
The Koyanim, the robe they used to wear, it's Kodesh.
Correct.
So in Beis Hamikdash, they're not allowed to have other clothes. So in night when they go to sleep, they take it, fold it, put it underneath the head.
So it should be
It should be a pillow. Because they sleep on a stone.
Stone.
Cold.
uh-huh.
But you're not allowed to use it. But it's Shabbos Friday night, and they're allowed to use it. They're allowed to makapel it.
Right.
And over there, it's only white. Most of the clothes is white.
Right. So
Like I saw.
so saying
he has his clothes. When you finish the arm, you go out. You don't wear the clothes because
Right.
it's not belong to you anymore. It's Ram.
uh-huh.
So Kohen, when you do the avoid you finish the avoid, you're not allowed to wear the clothes anymore.
Right.
Pick it up, man.
Right. So the Rambam says that for Kert, the opposite reason, because so Rashi says because colored clothing need more of a tikkun. The Rambam says the opposite because white clothing get very messy. Doesn't say they get more creases, but he says it gets very mislachless. Forgot the exact
Every
lashon.
little dirt you see on it.
Right. So therefore, it needs to be much more
Careful.
careful. So therefore, we allowed it. He says by Rashi the reason why you're allowed to do white because it's not such a tikkun. But the Rambam, the reason you're allowed to do white is fakir. On the contrary, because it needs a bigger tikkun, so that we're matter because it's a very important reason to need a tikkun. And then we said about the two people, why it's not allowed with two people. So Rashi says that when you do it with two people, it's a lot more effective. I guess when you shake it out together and you fold it, it's done a lot better. And if it's done a lot better, so it's more of a tikkun. So if it's more of a tikkun, then we're not matter. Okay. So this is what he said, you're not allowed to fold clothing. However, you're not allowed to fold clothing Shabbos. However, there were matter, one case were matter. When you have 5 things, it's for Shabbos, it's one person, it's white, it's new, and you don't have another piece of clothing. So you're using it today, you don't have another piece of clothing, it's white, it's new, and it's only one person. But any other case is also, and that's just brought down in Torah Shulchan Aruch That's all. However, what's interesting, this is where you get a twist. I just wanted to mention, interesting note, Ara, that they bring from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach that he says he doesn't know today what's the difference between white clothing and colored clothing. That's what they bring that. But it's interesting you're mentioning that you see clearly that white clothing
Depends on the material what made out also.
but you're saying you do see with certain materials that white clothing get more it's less visible, the creases. So that would make sense with Rashi's pshat,
Right.
that the colored clothing need more of a tikkun. So I don't know.
Also on white clothing you see the dirt much more than
Right, so that would be
The color.
with the drama. Yeah.
because the dirt could sometimes blind into the
With the
color of
color.
the
Right.
clothes. But white, no matter what you see it.
Right. Okay, so now the Martha says an interesting thing. So, until now, everything's simple.
I see in Shabbos most of the people folding the talesim.
Oh, so we'll get to
This and this. Alter Rebbe says don't do it.
okay, so we'll see in a second.
Okay, we'll get it.
The Alter Rebbe says like it says in Shulchan Aruch. Okay, we'll get to it in a minute.
Okay.
But you said that you see people do fold it or don't fold it?
Here in this shul,
Yeah,
a lot of people fold it.
fold it. Yeah,
Same.
interesting. Because I see most people that I've seen haven't done fold it.
Chabad, we know not to do it. And if you are
Because it's in
yakin,
the Shulchan Aruch, it says also. No, I'm saying, but that says the Alter Rebbe says the Shulchan
our
Aruch.
minhag is not to fold it.
Interesting. Okay.
And if you do, don't do it all the way to the.
Okay, so we'll discuss in a minute all the
You
details.
know what the problem is? Somebody has to tell them. They don't know what's the minhag of Chabad. So I see a lot of like young Israel guy coming here and they fold it. I don't fold it, I just put it there.
Okay, so we'll discuss.
I know
we'll discuss
somebody
soon.
come Motzei Shabbos and fold it.
Okay, so we'll discuss soon. We'll discuss soon.
Okay, we'll get
Really, all the minhagim, basically the maskan is going to be all the minhagim have a marker. All the minhagim have a source.
Right.
If you do like this, you do like this. We'll see soon that really, if most people fold it, we'll discuss exactly in what type of case. But there's a lot of room to be mad to fold it.
If you have
But if you want to be mad,
handkerchief, right?
but
People fold it and put it in a pocket.
if you have and if you don't fold it, if you fold it, there's a marker. If you don't fold it, there's another marker. We'll see soon all the.
אלו ואלו דברי אלוקים חיים.
Yeah, we'll see soon what the reasons for everything is. You mentioned about the handkerchief.
When the Rebbe using the Fabrengen, the Rebbe puts like this and put it back. No,
It didn't fold it.
no, they're not.
They're not open.
Like this. No, use
It's
it.
fold.
Like this, take it out, use it, and put it back the way you would. But a lot of people are yucky, like you take the handkerchief, fold it to four, put it in the pocket, or put it here. It's nice, more elegant.
Okay, so we'll get to it. Yeah. So Akavam, so here comes this is where it changes really a lot of the whole concept. So the Martha comes in and says,
David.
he says this whole din that it says in the Gemara and the Mishnah you're not allowed to fold clothing is only if you're folding it. Try to say the lashon again. Is only if you're folding a kipula harishin. You're folding on the original creases. Aval shalei say the kipula. If it's not on the original creases, nida the mutter. And then he says it's mutter even with two people, even if you don't have any of the requirements, even if you don't need it for that day. So the Mark only says, what's this? No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say those words.
What he says, if he's not,
he just says if it's shalevi said the kipula, it's mutter even with two people. Now the other place can discuss that if he's saying you're allowed to do it with two people, so he's understanding that you don't need any of the requirements, right? The Gemara said you need 5 things. One person,
right.
in general. If he's saying you're allowed to do 2 people, so the other place can say, so obviously the Martha means that you don't need any of the requirements. It could be 2 people, it could be for tomorrow, it could be.
But if it loses the
no, that's what a lot of the places can learn. There are some that want to say that if it's not, there are some places that want to say.
Sure, if you don't need it for Shabbos, even with 2 people, you're not allowed to.
So most of the places will understand even if it's for tomorrow. And that's what's brought l'alach l'maisa.
You can't fulfill Shabbos to your
so you're saying because the Ravid's reason. But it seems like the reason of the Ravid is not brought in Shulchan Aruch. The Ravid says it, but in the Torah Shulchan Aruch, in all the places when it's not brought l'alach. The reason of the Ravid. Now, this Dinal Metrich L'chayil, as a general thing, it has to be, we're not going now, you have to learn properly all the Gedarim of what was included. But if I have something outside, I put it away. It's being meichen lacha. Not everything that you do as part of a normal seder hayom is considered meichen lacha. You're putting something away, right? It's not necessarily meichen lacha. So if I consider what you're doing to be a special tikkun, so besides the fact that it's an issue of tikkun mana or nirikim misaka mana, then I will say you're being meichen lacha. But if I say that what you're doing is not an issue at all, so it just means you're putting it away. You're putting it on the shelf. That wouldn't be necessarily called meichen lacha. And now I'm just going to add to what you said, that the reason why if it's not on its original crease, it's mutter. Why? So you said because it's what you say it's not misakin. So it doesn't say it in the martha, but the lavush, it's one of the achleinim, one of the big places in the Gedei Achleinim in the beginning. One of the big achleinim, the achleinim says the reason for the march is. So the way he says it, the way he's quoted is he says she'ein lekipol zeh shum kiyum. Such a kippel doesn't have it doesn't last. And the way I understand what he's saying is that there are when you buy clothing or when it's pressed, so there's a very strong crease. Right. So if you fold along those lines, it'll stay. But if you start making your own lines, the second you open it up, it goes away. So that's
you're not attacking anything. You're not
misaking anything. So that's what he says. So in other words, once I'm understanding that what you're doing is nothing, you're not misaking, you're not fixing anything. So that's what I understand. You can do it for tomorrow, and that's why it's not nidik misaking. You're not really fixing anything. You're just you're putting away. You put some things go on the hanger, and some things you fold on. So this is what it says in the Marth. So the question is, do we pass like them? This is one thing. Another thing before we get to Allah Lamaisa.
If you have a few little kids in the house, right? The laundry is like non-stop, especially the baby clothes.
Right.
Many times, Shabbos afternoon, you have time. Can I follow the baby clothes? But no way, even though I don't need Shabbos.
Right. Okay. So we'll get there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So the question: do we pass on like this smart? Because it's a little of a chiddush, right?
Yeah.
Even if you say it doesn't really have such a kiyum, so maybe you'll say the crease doesn't have a kiyum, but it's still let's say taking out all the other creases, all the other creases in the bag. You fold it up, even if it's not.
Create a new one.
Right, you're getting a new line, but it'll get rid of all the. Seemingly, it'll make the general clothes less creased. But it seems like he's saying that that's not an issue because I guess if you're not folding it as properly, if you're not doing the original creases, so you're just doing it like a regular. Like I said, you're folding it to put it away. You're not trying to make a proper crease, a proper fold where you're pressing it down and doing the whole thing like in its proper way that's meant to fix it up. Another thing is that the Beis Yosef on the Torah when he brings this halacha brings a kolbei. The kolbei says, just to get the lashon in here. Kolbei says in our days, when we fold our clothing, after the kippel didan lidam the kippel shalom. Maybe our folding is not the same as the folding in the time of Chazal, because by them to fold it in a way that it's going to get rid of all the creases, and that's not what we do. So this is what the Beis Yosef brings from the kolbei. Now, I'm not sure. I would assume that most regular people in the house, when they're folding clothing, they don't have a mind to get rid of the creases from the baguettes. It could be in the cleaners when they're doing it professionally, so they're doing everything properly. And they're folding it when they fold the shirts. They're folding it very properly. But regular people are folding their clothes at home. Not necessarily are they doing it so compact and professional. So aside from in the professional realm where it's let's say the cleaners, but at home when people are folding their clothing, it's what the kolbei says seems to make a lot of sense. So these are two svaris why a lot to be matter folding. Number one, today you're just folding, you're not doing it so professionally. And number two, if you're not doing it on the original creases, or a lot of clothes don't have original creases, so you're stop folding it. So as the Beis Yosef brought this kolbei, but the Beis Yosef on the Torah, and then when he comes to Shulchan Aruch, he doesn't bring this concept at all. He just writes the halacha. Pashat, that's us to fold. So it's not so. It
It's
seems,
machalik.
yeah. No, the new old he does machal because he brings the heter that it says in the Mishnah that you have all these 5 requirements. It's mutter, but otherwise it's aser. But he doesn't bring this concept that today our folding is different. That's mutter.
All this folding is toladot, right?
1 second. He doesn't bring the heter. He doesn't say from the. Yeah, this is the Mishnah. But on the top is the lashon machal.
Right.
But he's the same author as the base says. Yeah. When he writes this, he doesn't bring this. So it seems halacha l'maaseh, even though you could say today is different, we still keep the halacha.
Right.
Still the halacha that you're not allowed to fold on the original. You're not allowed to fold at all. Then he brings not the kolbek, but he brings the marcha, the svara of the marcha. Says yesh mishaymer. If you're not folding on the original creases, this is already mutter. And the way he ends off, he says v'nidin dvarim, and his words make sense, which basically means that he's passing like the marcha. So he's saying we do keep this chomer even today's day and age. We keep the chomer of not folding clothing, but only on the original creases. But if you're not going to fold on original creases, you're allowed to. Now later, place can discuss what's about a clothing that doesn't have original creases, right? So usually pants come. A lot of times pants come with a towel. Yeah, or towel. Most clothing don't have any original creases. So I saw the time now. Says Shulchan. He writes that Misvari, he would say that you should be machmer. Because only if you have original creases, and I'm folding on the wrong creases, so it's for sure not misakin. I'm ruining it. I'm ruining the creases. I'm doing the wrong lines. But if it's something that doesn't have any folds, maybe it's a problem. That's what he says to me. So he says, and the place commit says not like that. In many place commit says that it doesn't have any creases to begin with, and you're just folding it down, that will be included in the hat of the market. You just fold it down.
For example, have the challah cover, right? It has 4 creases, It
has already set creases.
Yeah. You take off this, what do? You just put it bunched out, or you could just fold it, put it in the center.
So let's say this will be an example, right? So what do a lot of people do with their talis? They bunch it up, right? So the question is, it's the same question. So when we discuss the talis, we'll discuss this also. But this is a very practical example.
Shabbos, you're sitting by the table, you want
to
make a moitzi, you take off, what do you do with it?
Right,
inside, you fold
it. So it seems halacha l'maaseh, when you learn Shulchan Aruch, if you fold it on the original creases, it's aser. If you're folding out on the original creases, it's mutter. Now here comes something very interesting. There's a machzah shekel that says like this. He says in Hilchas Tzitzis, in the beginning of Eirech Chaim, it says like this: if you're not allowed to steal someone's talis and use it. However, it says that usually a yid, we assume that a yid is happy for mitzvahs to be done with his objects. So if you find someone's talis in shul, and you need to borrow it, and he's not around to ask him, so Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to use it because we assume he's sorry.
Treat respectfully. Don't.
Yeah, right. So Shulchan Aruch says that you're allowed to use it because we assume he's happy if you have. But like you said, you have to treat it respectfully. And one of the things it discusses is, do you have to fold it up afterwards?
Exactly.
So Shulchan Aruch
you have
says,
to put it back the way you find it.
So Shulchan Aruch, it says that you have to fold it up. However, if you don't fold it up on the original creases, it's still fine as long as you fold it up. You don't bunch it up. You don't crease it. You don't take the house.
What if the guy is upset? I want you use my talent. Put it back the way it was.
Right. So we assume that he doesn't mind so much. But what's it? Let me just.
If it's your own talus, you don't fold it up. But if it's a shul's talus, it's an entirely different matter.
It's what we're talking now.
Right. So as of now, we're talking in the middle of the week. Yeah, you borrow someone's talus.
Oh, middle of the week, there's no problem whatsoever. Nothing.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about a question of. You're borrowing. Are you come to store and you find the talus? Yeah. Are you allowed to take it?
Yeah, you're allowed.
Why are you allowed to take it? Because
the guy happy that you
do it, but you have to treat it respectfully. In order for him to be happy, you have to
put it back the way it
was. So it says you have to fold it up. However,
you'd be happy if somebody folded for him.
They have to. However,
I always tell people, you come to shul, you go to the shop to take a sira. Make sure that when you finish, put it back so somebody else.
It's not in this shul.
The same way you find a sira, some way you put it back.
Not in this show.
The halacha says we assume the Ram brings that we assume that if you don't in the middle of the week, if you don't fold it on the original creases, the owner doesn't mind.
Okay.
As long as you're not scrunching it up. That's what it says. Maybe today people will remark, but I don't know. But that's it. Even if you fold it in the void, as long as you fold it. Then he writes, but on Shabbos, ain't tzarich l'kaf l'kaf. On Shabbos, you don't have to fold it at all. You could just put it in the pot. That's what it says. And we assume that the owner doesn't mind. So the Machzor Shekel asks, Machzor Shekel on Hilchos Shabbos asks, he doesn't understand. Why do we say in Hilchos Tzitzis that we assume that the owner doesn't mind on Shabbos if you don't fold it up? Since we said Shulchan Aruch Paskins like the Marzeh
That you're allowed to.
that you're allowed to fold it down in its creases, and we said that the person is happy if you fold it, even if you don't fold it in the creases, at least you fold it in some way. So therefore, on Shabbos, you should also be required to fold it, not on its original creases. That's the question. Therefore, he says that really, even though in Hilchos Shabbos we say v'nidin dvarav like the Marzeh, we paskin l'kula like the Marzeh, but really there's place to be machmir. That if someone wants to be machmir atzma, it's yeser teif. It's better to be machmir. Me'ikar didn't allow it to be machmir. Therefore, in Hilchos Tzitzis we say that since if you don't fold it up, what's going to happen? Okay, we're going to be a bit creased. The next day I'll fold it up. I'll be fine. Sunday I'll come and fold it up. I'll be fine, right? It's not the end of the world. So we say, since there's a makam to be machmer, to not fold it even on new creases, we say that the person is nichale, that a mitzvah should be done even
if he's
at the cost of getting a little crease, since there's a chumrah, since there's a chumrah.
Right.
Even though it's mutter, but since there's a chumrah, he's still happy for the person to do the chumrah. So what do we come out from this Machzor Shekel? That even though me'ikra din, you're allowed to fold something down into original pieces, but there's place to your machmir. If you want to be machmir atzmai, there's place.
Yeah.
So what this leaves us with is really, it leaves us with a little open gray area over here. Me'ikra din, certain things are mutter, but there's place to be machmir. Okay. So this is what we have. Now let's come lalach lamaisa when you get the talis. So Gnad the shadow of the talis is a very old shadow. This already starts in Taisus. Taisus on the Mishnah right away says, when once it says this, then the Gemara in the Mishnah he says, "Mikan lamadu." From here we learn the asur lakap talisis shabbos knesses. It's asur on Shabbos morning to fold up the talis because it's going to go. You're not using it again today. You're using it tomorrow. Okay.
Or somebody else is using it in the kehillah.
If you were to be folding up in order for someone else to use it that day, then it would be considered like you need it for today, right? But right. But we said that the only hatat in the Gemara, right, in the Mishnah, the only hatat to fold up a talis, if folding is a problem, the only hatat to fold up a talis would be for if a new baggage that's white and you need it for today. But if you don't need it for today, then it's awesome. So Taisa says the folding up a talis is a problem, right? So now, but this is all before we have the mark. But now that we have the mark that says you're allowed to fold it not on its creases, so maybe we should say it's mutter to fold not on its creases, right? Like we see the Machzor Shekel asks in regards to talis.
Even if I don't need it, just
sorry, yeah, because the Marzeh says, like we said, the Marzeh says you're allowed to do it even
you're
b'shtei bnei adam.
not metaking anything. You do nothing.
Right, and therefore most pais can learn. I think the Chayei Adam wants to be machmer. Most pais can learn most pais can learn that you're allowed to do it even not for Shabbos. Yeah, the Rebbe also brings you're allowed to do it even if it's not for Shabbos. Most places learn it's mutter even not for Shabbos. So you're allowed to follow your talis even though it's only needed for tomorrow. However, we see from the Machzor Shekel there's a makam to your machmer. So lemaise, like you said, you see some people won't fold it. Some people will just make a pile out of the talis, and there's makam for it. I saw the Ktesa Shulchan, Reb Chaim Nah, he brings this halach. He says that if you're not following original creases, it's 100% mutter. But he said, I saw Anshe Maisa a machmer, not to fold. So he says, why? So he writes, one reason would be because of the Machzor Shekel. He says there's a place to be machmer. Then he says another very interesting reason. Very, very interesting. He says maybe the reason is because the people that are watching won't know if you're folding on the original crease or not the original crease. They say, oh, you're allowed to fold, so they'll think you're allowed to fold on Shabbos. They don't realize that you're not allowed to fold on original creases. That's what he writes. That Anshe Maisa were machmer.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see people that are folding, if they're not folding on the original crease, definitely there's no problem. There's no shy. Question becomes, if they're folding on the original creases. So the Beisesa actually brings, like we mentioned, Beisesa brings a kol by. But it doesn't bring a lamais in Shulchan Aruch. The later person don't, we stick to them on that we have to be machmir.
That 6 or 7 fold. So I'll do 6 the original fold. The last one I'll do different.
I'm not sure. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
I fold the talis almost to the end, then I'll do different.
I don't know. I hear. So yeah, it's a good question.
I make it a new crease now on Shabbos.
So yeah, but the new crease, you're not going to keep that new crease right?
Right.
So then that should be.
It should be lechora b'seina.
But the original creases you did the same. So part of it is good, part of it is not so good.
Right.
I don't know. That's a
90%, 90% the same crease.
Right.
So now tomorrow when I open it, it will look nice and everything. But the last crease, it was
right.
So I didn't fold the talis the way it was original.
Right. So I don't know. That's a good question. So now
some people do it. The people that bother him, the talis is not, the crease is not there.
Right. Yeah.
They fold it like 90%. The last fold,
They do
different. And after Shabbos, they do.
Right. Yeah. It's actually interesting. So
in Swadishus, I saw many times. People will finish davening, they just hang the talis, then they have a goy come and fold the whole talis.
Interesting.
You're coming into the shul and the hallway, they have like 50 talisim. You come, you put the talit, and then you finish davening, you just hang it there. The goy comes
and
fold
it.
Well,
It's a goy mitzvah.
Yeah.
Mitzvah. But Torah also the same.
Yeah.
You put the talitot
Nice.
in a rack, and he come and put it on the shelf.
If I'm not mistaken, the Aruch HaShulchan, the Kseiser Shulchan writes, when he discusses this question about the talis, he says that it says the Shalah, I think, it says the Shalah used to fold his talis on Motzei Shabbos.
It's good for Shalom Bayis.
So I don't remember if he says that, but he says he used to fold.
Good for Shalom Bayis. I saw a letter to the rabbi to somebody to wash the dishes Motzei Shabbos and fold the talis is good for Shalom Bayis.
But who was the dishes? The guy?
The guy said the problem is Shalom Bayis. So the rabbi told him it's good to wash the dishes and fold the talis and Motzei Shabbos.
They never knew that this guy was, like upon him. So he writes that he used to fold it. So he says, "L'chura tzara'agi, you're not allowed to fold your talis on Shabbos." He says, no, maybe he folded it not on its original crease. And then Motzei Shabbos he went to make it on the original crease. But it doesn't mean you have to make it a crumple apart.
Right.
So this is the Indian. Now it's interesting. Someone mentioned handkerchief. So the Aruch HaShulchan brings, I think he writes. He says we saw the minik. So I just want to make sure.
I'll fold it.
Second.
Today I don't see so much handkerchief because we have so much tissues and this is like easy. But when I was a kid, there was no tissues. So
Only handkerchief.
My father had handkerchief. Everybody had handkerchief. My father had handkerchief.
handkerchief, right?
Yeah.
No tissues.
And then when I was a kid, some people were machmir not to metaltal on Shabbos, so they took the handkerchief on Shabbos, right?
Like,
They went like this, like sideways, make it like a thing, and put it over here, and carry it as a scarf.
my father.
Yeah, yes, right. You didn't want to hold from the air over this.
Right.
Machmir.
There's no ear.
There was no air, but I'm saying even the air, when they're not holding it, they want to machmir, so they hold it like.
It's a minhag.
Very important.
I remember as a kid, I used to look at the old people like, oh, yeah, put it here. Only the stool in the plane where it's like, It was strange for me, but I understand.
He said, I don't know where I saw. I'm not. Akaban the Aruch HaShulchan writes. Essentially, he writes that the minig by in his times. I guess, like he said, we mentioned there's different nagim. He says by him the minig was that people fold their talis. It sounds like from what he's saying, even on the original folds. He says, okay, they're probably same on the kolbay. It says B'chlal our folding today isn't the same as Amal. So I guess there were those that were naik to fold. Like I said, there's different nagim. They're based on different things. I'm not sure I saw Aruch HaShulchan or somewhere else that they write that in regards to handkerchief. That people. Sorry, not the handkerchief. The fancy napkins after from the Suda. He says everyone used to fold it without a problem. And he said, if I'm not mistaken, he says the reason is because again, today's folding is not the same. But Frati, you don't have original folds that you're folding it on. You're just putting it together. Like we said, putting like so you asked. Yeah. So you asked if someone there's a lot of clothes at home and Shabbos left this extra time, you want to fold. So it seems that it wouldn't be an issue. If you're putting things away, you're not doing much.
Right, especially with
Right.
kids. How many of them do you have in your house? It's crazy, like a factory, non-stop. Every couple hours is a machine.
Just to add one more thing to this.
I'm saying, in Shabbos, you need this. The question is, if you need socks on Shabbos, you're allowed to go Mavar. You know what I'm saying? Pull out you have 50 socks and you want the pink one or the green one or the blue one.
So the Aruch HaShulchan, he discusses this. Teichat Dvarim, so he writes a lashon. He writes, "Lahashlich beged bli kippel klal einim derech bnei adam." To just put a bag and dump it in a pile, it's einim derech adam. Basically, he's saying that it's. If I understand correctly, he's saying that Chazal didn't say that comes Friday night. You have to take place and just like dump things. Right. Don't use an original crease. He's saying this, and he says this about what the martcha means. What does it mean you're not folding an original crease? It means not folding an original crease means you're not doing anything special to try to preserve a special look. But on the other hand, you shouldn't just dump it. You shouldn't just. That's why Shabbos to be like a slope. Right, so that's why other people are even though we say that there's a makam lahachmer, not to. We said even though the martcha we pass in that you can fold an original crease, but there's a makam lahachmer not to fold. But others kind of come and take the talis and just crumple it. It's not to be befrati. It's a talis. It's a baggage of yeah. So you have these different minhag. That's that. Just maybe.
But Lamaisa, see, Lubavitcher don't fold the talis on Shabbos. Most of us.
But there are those that do. I've seen those that do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are those that maybe only fold it half and then they hang it up. So you fold it up and you hang it over a banister. So that may be a bit better. But Claude, one of the main things with folding, it says that you fold it and you keep it in place. Some of the places, I think that the Ktesa Shulchan, if I now want to say as far that most you just like fold something a bit and you hang it. So if it's just hanging like this, it's not like pressed on itself. It's not such an issue. It's part of the process.
When I was a kid in Chabad, the yeshiva, when walking going to mikveh in the Shabbos morning, right? The mikveh doesn't have a towel like over here. You have to bring your own towel. But you finish the mikveh, usually the towel is wet, especially the Israeli towels, so fakakte towels. Mamash, you could, So what do? You take it and put it in a banister. The mashgiach says, no, you're not allowed to hang it on Shabbos.
Because of drying.
Because you can't. Right. But you don't realize it.
Right, yeah.
You're not talking about it in the carpet. Just, you can't.
Right.
Put it on the table, but the Bochum says like, it will stink.
So you're between a weekday talis and a Shabbos talis?
That's very interesting. So in the Rishonim, the Rebbeinu Chananel writes, when this thing is brought up in the Gemara, so just to want to repeat over something I said in the beginning. So the Gemara says that folding is aser. However, they were matir l'tzerech Shabbos if you have a few requirements. So it has to be white, a new bag that was never washed, and it's only done by one person. It can't be done by two people together. And if you have all these requirements, then it's mutter l'tzerech Shabbos for Shabbos itself. Right? So just want to point out that what this whole discussion about doing l'tzerech Shabbos is only if it's new and it's white. So let's say you want to discuss a talis. Let's say we don't worry about the black lines. Let's say we don't consider. Let's say we consider a white baguette, then it's white, but it was washed already. Unless it's a new. So some people, let's say I don't know how long it would be considered new because the talis you use for many months. But let's say until the first time it's washed, it's considered new. So I just want to frame the question
with the barcode, right?
So I just want to frame the question.
Talis has a different barcode,
right? So I just want to point that this whole question about Seder Shabbos is only again a very specific case. It has to be new, right? So let's say we're discussing the first few months, you never washed your talis yet, whatever it is, it's new. And you want to know, since it's a Shabbos talis, so it should be included in the heter of the Mishnah. So the Rebbeinu Chananel writes that this requirement that has to be the Seder Shabbos could be from night to day, it could be from the day to the afternoon, or it could be from one Shabbos to the next Shabbos. Right, so according to Ben Chananel, you're right. But the other place can bring L'maisa l'alacha, I think that this is the way it's angenom in the Paiskim that we don't pass him like that. Till the David, I think, brings l'maisa, and we naman l'maisa that from even the Shabbos talis that you're folding it for the next Shabbos, it'll still be included in the regular issue. Like he said, there's other tatum. If you don't fold on the original pieces, whatever. Maybe some rely on the kolba, even to fold on the original pieces. But if you were trying to rely on the heter of Shabbos to Shabbos, as itself, that you wouldn't rely on. Maybe if it's sit of things together, it's more of a makom l'hakol. Because there are some Rishonim that do learn like that.
I know Shabbos tables, you're not supposed to take it off from the table on Shabbos. You put the Shabbos table.
Right, because on Shabbos you still have a white table. Right.
Stay there the whole Shabbos. You can't
Right.
take it.
Even if it gets dirty.
You have no choice. You have to put the new one. But you should have on the table at
A white towel. A white table.
tablecloth.
So if it's very dirty, then it's a design for Shabbos, so maybe it's better.
Like dishes that you have to take it off.
Right. So I was thinking maybe discussing something else.
And all these things, that's to do with Yom Tov also.
L'chora, yeah.
There's no cooler in Yom Tov.
I'm not sure the details. Could be there are, but in this mission is a few things, and one of the dinim brought in the mission is brought in Shochnarach and Chos Yom Tov.
But like you prepare from one Yom Tov to the second Yom Tov,
No, on Yom Tov itself, like the same question about the
You have to do Yom
Nidik and Sakamana.
Finish davening in the first Yom Tov. You want a couple of that, so tomorrow you have an Yom Tov and
So no, so that would okay, that's already another discussion. Chos Yom Tov. Okay,
I think we don't even Yom Tov we don't fold it.
saying the talis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, that's our minute, but I'm not
Right,
sure
yeah.
if we're allowed to.
Right.
And where did that bogus tale come about? If you don't fold your towels right away after Shabbos, it's not good for shalom bayis.
I don't know.
We
Not sure.
said it before. We said it before.
Don't mess up. Don't make mess in your house.
So
Take the practical.
Take the garbage out.
That also.
Garbage dishes.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's brought at the if I'm not mistaken, it's the Shalah, or it's brought that the Shalah used to fold his talis Motzei Shabbos. I don't recall if it says clearly that it's a school of Shalom Bayis, but that's it. I think actually Shulchan Aruch says. What's this? Not sure what time is marriage usually 30.
9:30.
We have a minute.
We'll have it. Nachman don't come. We'll have exactly 10. I text him. If you have 9. Yeah. No, he didn't answer. I can say I text him.
We shared one. Can we do an
שאלה. שאלה. מי שבא ברוך הבא, מי שלא בסדר. מי שבא ברוך הבא, מי שלא בסדר.
David came all the way from Florida for a minute.
In Shulchan Aruch it's brought from the Maran brings it from the Maril that there were those that were medactic to have a special palace for Shabbos, and every Motzei Shabbos they would fold it in order to be misasik in a mitzvah right away. Right away, Motzei Shabbos comes, you want to be misasik in mitzvah, folding up your towels for the next Shabbos. It doesn't bring any over here anything about the school of Shabbos. It could be it says in the Svarim. Just because it's not brought here doesn't mean. I'm not aware. I've heard about it before. I don't know what the makar is. But what it does say is this concept of right away Motzei Shabbos be misasik in mitzvah.
It's like in the day that they sang the Shiro. It's a still of a panos of Zilshir. It's a day.
Yeah, okay.
Pasha Saman.
Yeah.
So that's what I told him. I said, wake up 8 o'clock in the morning, go to work. It's also good.
Yeah. The school is the school is until 8:59. 9 o'clock. That's when happens.
Whatever the rush.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, well, schön sicher sein to Yom Shikol Shabbos.
There was another thing that you want to discuss. So
How much time do we have?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So I was going to discuss maybe in regards to totally different nights, not Chol Shabbos, not Chesh Mishpat. So there's a few concepts. There's Einan Nakachtas.
What we're doing in the triple one now.
Yeah. So Yeah, a few days ago. So akapanim. So in Shulchan Aruch, you have together brought together Hachseina Mekachtalis. Now, see what we could just to speak the Nekudas Hadvarim. So what are these different concepts? So I'm sure a lot of us familiar, but just to discuss quickly the different types of ideas. So what's Aina? What's Mekachtalis? So Aina is a din that if you make up a business deal with someone, let's say a sale, you make up a sale with someone, and you make up a price, and you make up all the details, and you make a kinyan, yeah, and everything's gonna fine. Later on, you find out, you realize that the price doesn't fit the market value, the market rate.
Higher or lower?
In either direction. If it's higher, so then the buyer got cheated,
Right.
and if it's lower, then the seller got cheated. It goes in both directions. The din of Eina. So that's called a din of Eina.
That's how you know.
That's enough. What's the idea? We made up a price, right? The buyer and seller made up a price. Everything was open. We said what the price is. We said what the item is. There's no way, everything's clear and set. But the Torah says, Halacha says, that since there's an objective price, since there's a market value, so we say it's usher. It's usher to cheat someone, to charge someone a price different than the market value. The place can obviously point out that this only applies when there's an objective market value. Most things today, it's very hard to say is an objective market value because
the market itself go up and down.
Right. So that already says in the place the market changes, fluctuates. However, it's even more than that. At any given time, it's understood that if you let's say if you're a wholesaler, if you're a retailer, if you're a store, you're going to give a different price, right? And even the stores itself, we understand that a corner store or 24-hour store is going to charge more than a big supermarket, right? So it's very hard. There's no real objective price for most items.
Right.
It's very hard to say. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure how it works. Maybe cars or certain like items that are only sold.
MSRP, don't you know the value?
You have but do different dealers give different prices or?
They add on a fee if they want or whatever.
It's open. They see this is the original price. I'm giving you a fee.
The same car staying at the lot. 3 people coming to buy it, and we'll give each one of them different.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They'll give it different fee, but they're being clear. What's the original? What's the? Okay, so actually, this is actually one of the details. It's interesting. One of the details in the halacha ve'ina that if I say clearly what the original price is and the market value, we're all clear about it. The buyer and seller knows this is the original price and this is my fee. Then that's fine. You can charge whatever fee you want as long as you're open. You say this is the original price, this is the market value, and this is. But so I guess today regularly in most sales, I don't know how often there's actually an intrinsic objective market value. I guess maybe if certain things are regulated, maybe they'll have a specific market value.
Stock market on price.
Sorry?
On the stock market, the price go up, go down.
Right, but at the time, but let's say at the time of the sale, it has to fit.
I'm selling it to you now.
Right, it should be fit
the amount.
Right. The thing is, that's the thing. Most items, I would assume, my understanding is that today most items don't actually have an objective.
When you fill up the car, you start, it says $1, whatever. When you finish, it's a couple cents more already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because everybody's cheating each other. I don't know if it's some platoon,
Right, but Lamais, it's very hard to give meaning which price. Just to point out that I know, like we said, goes in both directions. Overcharging, undercharging. You could either go on the meicher, the kain, on the buyer, the seller. So there's no way to be machmer. You know what I mean? You have to have an exact. You have to have an exact line you're going by. Because I can't say, let's go by the highest price. You go by the highest price, then the buyer is going to be cheated. If you go by the lowest price, the seller is going to be cheated. So
if you go to a Jewish store, they're buying the same stuff from China that you're getting on AliExpress, and they're charging like 500%. The market price in Flatbush is a certain price.
Okay, so that's a recognized halacha that would be recognized if in a certain place. Also, like we said, online, a retailer, a wholesaler, the online shopping experience and the store shopping experience is not the same. So it's but akapanim, this is all that we were clear about everything. We made up a price. There was no cheating in what we said to each other. But the cheating is an objective price.
I spoke to somebody and told me at a store. A lot of women come to the store, try stuff and decide. So they in the store find out, take a picture and everything. They know if it look good. Once it looks good, okay, now they go and they see what's the company name. They go online and buy it from them, not from us. So it's not, they stole from me, I know.
It's a gneva. I'm not allowed to do that.
This is okay, that's a different question.
No,
It's
I'm
not
saying that
yeah.
I know, Mama should know.
That's not really a no because you're saying that's cheating. It's cheating. It's a different type of cheating.
I don't
I
come,
know
I
it's a very
didn't come
specific.
to the store to buy. I came to see if this look good on me.
Do you think you wasted his time?
I
Or
was
You
take
stole his
time,
time. Right, but I know it's not about wasting someone's time. I know it's a very specific concept. I know is that there was no actual theft over here. There was no, I didn't steal someone's time. I didn't. It's a concept that the price that you got, either the seller or the buyer, was
It's
cheated
not-
with regard to an objective price.
Okay.
It's not about what you're talking about is if I stole someone's time, that would be another discussion. If if you're allowed to do that. But I know it's a very specific concept. And it's instrument that we learn it from the pasuk like saying no Yishasachim.
Maybe there is a people just not, not going to Bethesda and they're not, not taking
Sorry,
it.
say it again?
Maybe there is a sir. Maybe this is not it. Just because people do it doesn't mean it.
Oh, I'm not saying that because people do it, it's not an issur. What I'm saying is that since people do it, there is no way to be keveya. How are you being keveya? I think the place is who's deciding. How are you going to decide a price? Who's going to decide a price? Let's say you go to Bezdin. Who's going to decide a price?
Well, but it's okay. I'm see what people charge for.
Yeah, but every store charges different price.
It's the average.
So, average does not necessarily mean it's the objective right price.
Yeah.
There's two types of averages. You could say either what's the most common price. There's two types, or median or mean, or you say what's the average, or you say you take the highest and lowest and you put in the middle. But neither of these, just because the average price is one way, doesn't necessarily mean this is the right
That was
price.
different. The old days they had in the
So it seems so we have to understand, but it seems like
yeah,
that I guess in each town there was a market value for each type of item.
$200 a pound or whatever.
Right, yeah. Or for objects, different type of objects. That's it seems like. So that's that. That's a no. Then Mekachtas, then there's another concept of Mekachtas. Mekachtas is a different concept. It's so again, Einas is everything between us was all clear, all good. The only question was with regard to something else about an objective price. Now the din in this is that whoever was cheated has a certain amount of time to come back. Now what's the amount of time given? So it says the buyer that actually has the object, he's given enough time to go to a professional that could evaluate the price. And once you pass that time, then you lost your schus to be teveh. The Meich, on the other hand, who sold the item and he doesn't have the item in hand, he gets la'ilam. He always gets to return come back, unless it's certain items that you have exactly the same type. It's a standard item. Let's say you sell apples. So you go find out the Meich doesn't actually have to have the apples at hand. You can go ask, what's the price for apples? It's not
So then he has a limit of time.
yeah. So then they'll have the same limit.
What about in Pesach? They raise the prices. They're allowed to do that.
Who raises the prices?
The groceries.
So like we
Something
said,
is selling $5, selling $7.
so like we
Because
said,
it's Pesach.
okay, so that's the way our markets work. That
No,
when there's a high demand, no. This concept of Ina is if the derech ha'ilam is that when there's high demand you charge more, so that's what it is.
Oh, this is
This is what it is. Just like a 24-hour store is going to charge more. If you buy a bottle of Coke in a gas station, they're going to charge you more. If you buy it I'm saying
buy a bottle of water in the airport, it's $10.
right. So it's
The groceries, they up the price because people are in the store and they're buying, so they charge more. Why not?
but the thing is, right.
It might be over this, sir. Because if you go to the shops, shop right or whatever, there's a kind of normal prices.
The question is, could you say that that's an objective
there's a
market
whole
value?
world, the whole market value, a certain number, and now they're raising it for Pesach.
Yeah,
The suppliers.
but all those, let's say, all those ShopRite and whatever other stores that are selling it, do they all sell it for exactly the same price?
I don't
So it means there is no.
know. Within a range, within a 5%, a 10%, whatever.
So I'm not sure. I don't know if we
I know
say
it's
enough.
20%, right?
Aina is
But it's
a
above.
sixth more or less of the
20%.
but from a certain exact amount.
Right.
If that amount is not exact, so it's very hard to say that there's enough.
Wow.
Now, I just wanted to say one more thing, which it's very connected to everything that you're saying, and that is that so we say the share Aina is like this. It works like this. There are three levels. If it's more than a sixth, then the whole mekach is bottled.
More than
It's not
6%.
too bad.
More than a sixth.
6 what percent?
No, not
20%.
it's a little probably less. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Seven-
More of 6 what?
So six. So let's say it costs $6.
More than one.
So $1 is a sixth. If something if the
Oh,
price is $6 and you
Yeah.
add $1, that means you added a sixth. If you add
okay,
if you add $1.05, then
That
it's more
whole
than
deal
this.
is finished.
Then so if it's $1.05, it's more than a sixth. $1 and put or whatever.
It's the whole deal is gone.
The whole deal is gone. If it's exactly a sixth, exactly $1, so then the din is that you have to return the extra dollar.
Okay.
And it goes, like we said, it goes in both directions. It
Right.
could be either for the meichel, the kain, or whatever. Let's say you undercharged. You charge $5.
You have
So you have to give back that dollar. If it's less than a sixth, then there's a mechila. That's the halach. The Rash has a question. He discusses this. Do we say that under a sixth there's mechila? Doesn't mean that there's no iser. It's mutter l'chitchila to do it because it's derech mekach umemka, and it's very hard to mitzamtzim. Every time you sell an item to get the exact price, and so within a sixth, it's chelik mekach umemka. Or he says no. Even less than six, it's 100% us. You're not allowed to charge more or less than the exact market value. L'poil, if you charge a bit more or less, people will be meichel because you can't make some sugar for every little thing. So that's and the Rash ends off v'yishmaim yachmer. But the concept is very important. This idea that there's this concept that even in certain cases where technically there's no inah, that's what we say because the market value is not exact and it's a bit fuzzy, whatever it is, or these type of questions. Or you say different type of stores, there's different style stores, right? Like we said, a department store, a local grocery store, a gas station. Even in certain cases where it's technically no enough, but there's still this certain things that even if it's considered, like we say, like the Rash says, derech mekchomemka, it could still be a problem. Therefore, yishmam yachmer, not to.
So this is I know. And what's the other one?
So this is all I know. Just one more. Okay,
Never mind.
We have a minute already?
Yeah, we're exactly.
Okay. Like I said, I'll just say quickly. There's a few other concepts, but even clearly, there's a concept where until we're discussing everything you made up is clear, and there's a shadow of the price. Then there's another concept where we made up a certain thing, but later on we realized there's a problem if there's a problem. Either the item I gave you isn't the exact size, it's smaller, it's a bit bigger, these type of things. So there could be an issue that could be bottled. Or maybe you have to return the difference. But this is again because we made up. Let's say we said I'm going to give you a land which is I don't know whatever it is 100 acres, whatever it is, and it's you found it's a bit less, a bit more, things like that. That could be one type of case where the Gemara originally asks in such a case. Maybe I should say it's a similar to no, just like no, it's more than a sixth. It's a sixth, less than a sixth. We should say a similar concept. So Gemara says no. When it comes to the quantity and what we made up, it's not about the price, a objective price. We made up a certain size. You have to keep exactly the size. No place to change it here, because this is about what we made up. This is what the mechira was about. The mechira was about a certain. There's a lot of details in that, but we'll just keep that simple. And then I'll bring just one more idea. Is what if you buy something, you find a mum, it's damaged a bit. So
it's not what I want
to
buy.
Right. So the pashtus says we say when someone buys something, I had in mind to buy a non-damaged item. If I find the damage, it's a megachtas. The discussion becomes certain cases when maybe I said that there may be damages. Maybe I specified what the damages are. Maybe certain things are common. We always know it's going to have certain issues.
As is. Today they said
Right.
as is.
So all these things could be many questions, but these are also a similar concept where I made up. I'm giving you an item. And so the assumption is I'm giving you an undamaged item. Then we find out what you gave me isn't exactly that could be a makachtas. Yeah, and many more details, but I just wanted to.
I went into a store today, and it was religious, owner, and I asked him how much